Welcome to Empowering Plans, a show dedicated to identifying waste and undue expense in the health benefits industry, discovering ways to maximize benefits while minimizing costs, and empowering employers, administrators, and consultants to emphasize once again the benefit in benefit plan. Today's episode is brought to you by the Diversified Group, discovering and creating innovative solutions to evolving healthcare demands. Now here are your hosts, the Phia Group's CEO, Adam Russo, Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Ron Peck, and Director Attorney, Brady Bizzarro.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Empowering Plans with the Phia Group. I'm your co-host, Adam Russo. Alongside me, as always, my good friend, our Senior VP and General Counsel of the Phia Group, Ron Peck. Say hello, Ron.
Hello, Ron.
As always, and I have to say that nicely, as always, with us for better or for worse, whether we like it or not, the infamous DC Insider, Brady Bizzarro. Say hello, Brady.
Hello, Brady.
So, Brady, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm going to be in DC tomorrow. Ron, are you going to be there too? No.
I will be here holding down the fort, Adam.
Tomorrow is a big meeting in DC. I know you're very jealous. I will make sure I do the Walk of Brady, the Brady Tour, where you literally walk by nothing famous, just stuff that Brady did while he was living in D.C. That's what you walk past.
It's a nice meandering path. You don't actually get up to anything worth seeing, but you can usually get a pretty good angle on those things in the distance, maybe take a selfie.
So those of you who aren't aware, we have a new studio now here at the Phia Group Empowering Plans podcast. It's a new room because we're going to be having live, I guess they're not podcasts. If it's video, is it still a podcast?
A video cast?
The vlog, actually.
It's a vlog?
V-L-O-G.
So Pat Santos, our amazing producer, our very low-priced amazing producer, has set this all up for us. But we have a pretty cool room. We have a nice setup. We got stuff in the background. I got all my Cleveland Indians paraphernalia in front of me. But the only strange part about this room is, in order for me to talk to Ron, I have to look past Brady. It's freaking me out, Ron.
I'm thinking this is an issue we need to address.
I think we have to remove
maybe
Brady from the podcast.
Maybe we put Brady in another spot
You sit
somewhere.
in a triangle, maybe that.
Something has to happen with Brady. Make a seat lower, something. I don't know.
We can get some cable extenders and put him in the bathroom over there.
Remember in the old days when if a kid was bad in class, like they literally put your desk in the corner? Like they don't do that anymore. I think it's like, it's bullying of some kind if you put a kid's desk in the corner.
That's what it is.
We had a horseshoe shape where they would put the bad kid literally at his desk by himself in the middle of the horseshoe.
I like where this is going.
That's what I'm thinking for Brady. Anyways, folks, this is a very special episode of Empowering Plans. About a few weeks ago, we had our Phia Forum. For those of you who are avid listeners of our podcast, you're aware we had a big event in Gillette, and there was one very big winner, other than the Phia Group after that event, and that was our friends at Diversified Group down in Connecticut. Very few people can say the words down in Connecticut. Most of the people have to say up in Connecticut, right?
That's a very interesting observation.
And with us is their top chef, their big dog, the man, the myth, the legend, Brooks Goodison. Those who are close to him get to call him Brooksy, as my wife and I get to call him. But we want to say welcome, Brooks, to the Empowering Plans podcast. What's up, buddy?
How you guys doing? Great to be with you today.
It's a great day. Hope everyone enjoyed Father's Day. So, really quick story. I was lucky enough, or maybe smart enough, or I had a strategy in place. I sent my wife for her 40th birthday. I sent her away with her sister and her best friend for 4 days to Aspen, Colorado for the Food and Wine Festival. She had a great time. I'll tell you, it was the best thing I ever did. That woman came back late last night, after 4 days of me alone with 4 of my kids, Ron, Brady, like just me, right? I had some help, but it was typically just me. Those were the hardest, most fulfilling, but literally the hardest 4 days of my entire life. There's nothing comparable to having to spend 4 days with your 4 kids in a car where they keep asking the same questions over and over and over again. Like there was a car on fire on the highway. The number of times that my son Sam asked me, why is the car on fire? And I kept giving him the same answer, but I guess it wasn't good enough. He just kept repeating it. But anyways, my wife came back late last night, so she missed Father's Day. I was alone with the kids on Father's Day. I think like she's never been this nice to me. It's almost like when I give Ron a raise. It happens once every 5 years. He's just a very nice person for the next few days.
Well, that's it. It's either that or if you let me go on a vacation and watch my 4 kids, then I'd be nice to you. Wow. So you enjoyed your Father's Day.
I definitely did. I'm back in the office, and it's so nice to be able to yell to someone to make my coffee. It was the greatest feeling this morning to just make someone do something. and not be the one that had to do it. So anyways, Brooks, I know we went off on a tangent.
I do have one question.
Sure.
Were you sober when your wife got home?
All right, very honest answer there. So I had a countdown knowing that my last kid would fall asleep about 8:45 last night. At 9 o'clock, I definitely had a few cocktails. There's no question about that. So I was sleeping by the time she got home, but man, I was counting down the hours before those kids went to bed last night. So, but thanks for that question. It's a good one. I definitely felt I needed a few drinks after the 4 days I went through. So,
Well, you know TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God thank God it's Sunday night at 1 a.m. and my wife is finally home. That's what it was. So, folks, those you don't know, for the first time, we decided to have a trophy to recognize the one client of Phia's, the one partner that, in our mind, inspired their employers, inspired the employees of those employers, and inspired all their partners to take proactive measures, innovative steps, and really take risks to manage their risk. An organization that just goes above and beyond. Now, we had a bunch of people to choose from, but there was no question in all of our minds that one organization stood out from the rest. This wasn't about who had the biggest TPA, who had the largest TPA, who makes the most revenue. It was just an organization that we felt, as a self-funded plan, I'd be proud to say that they were the ones that were managing my hard-earned dollars. And this year's winner was Diversified Group. And I think it shocked Brooks. Brooks, what was your first reaction when you heard that you won?
I had absolutely no idea that you guys were going to call out Diversified's name. I was surprised, and I was pleased. I look at this as a standing ovation. It's what we try to turn out. That's what we're trying to provide our clients. It was almost as if you were just reading it right out of our playbook. Page 1, chapter 1. This is what we're trying to accomplish for our clients.
And I think it's one thing to be able to, I agree with you on your mission of what you're trying to accomplish. I think it's one thing to try to accomplish what you're doing in a more pro-business, more pro-self-funded type state or area. The fact that you're doing this and pulling it off successfully, obviously you have this hiccups, and I wanted to get into some of the biggest challenges later on, but the fact that you're doing it in a state like Connecticut that is so heavily, let's say BUCA, Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, where that's the environment of the large carrier. That's the home of the large carrier. The fact that you're able to do that in their backyard, I think is makes it so much more impressive.
I agree, and I have a very simple answer to that. If we're not good, we're dead.
So, Brooks, really a couple follow-ups. One, why are you in this business? Like, what made you want to do this? The first question. And then two, what makes you not want to do this anymore? I mean, there's got to be obviously what's that biggest challenge? So what makes you happy that you're doing it every day? What brought you into this business? What kept you here? And then secondly, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing today that basically, let's be honest, that maybe scares you a little bit in the future?
Sure. I think that the thing that brought me to the business the most was being able to understand what is actually happening in our healthcare space, and how, by simply providing employers with information about where their money is going, that you can change the trajectory of their healthcare spend. You can make a difference. We can make a difference simply by having access to that data, which many groups heretofore have been told that they don't own it, they can't have it. Is it a regulatory decision? Is it a policy decision? Why can't they have access to this information? And giving them that access and helping them and make changes with that is why I get up every single day.
So Brooks, it's Ron here. Some people may be wondering why Diversified was the pick for the Empowered Plan Award this year, and just to kind of give you an idea of the credentials that we threw against the wall to see who the top score was. It wasn't just about revenue services. It was more about collaboration, beta testing new services, new products, taking risks to reward not only their own clients, but the industry at large. And it just seems anytime we have some crazy idea to get creative and contain planned costs, you're always at the front of the line volunteering to try it out. And I would say, maybe it's someone looks at that and thinks, he's trying to be an early adopter. Hopefully he gets sort of this benefit that others might not have. But you've been very altruistic when it comes to the industry as well. And this was, I think, what topped it off and got you the award is the work you've done at the legislative level for the industry, particularly in Connecticut. And I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about your experiences dealing with the lawmakers in Connecticut.
Sure. In Connecticut, we're in an environment where TPAs are licensed and regulated. We have to, by virtue of the fact that we can't be at the Capitol at the Legislative Office building as a full-time job, we have to hire and keep on staff a lobbyist who goes there every single day to keep an eye on any issues that may affect Diversified as a company and our clients. And they sit there essentially and watch for those things and bring them to our attention so that we can act on them. And whenever we've run into remarkable challenges, we've got great partners in the business, like you guys at Phia, that help us sort of understand these challenges that come up. Associations like HCAA, SIA, all of these people help us to manage our way through and provide, in-person, local input into our local legislation about how these things would affect employers, how they would affect our plan members, and us as a company. And basically, it's a do or die situation. If we sit on the sidelines, we're going to find out that somebody else made all these decisions for us.
Speaking of sitting on the sidelines, so one of the things I want to ask you, if you don't mind patting yourself on the back a little bit, what do you think makes you, your organization, the people you have, different than a typical administrator out there in this country?
The thing that makes us different is the thing that makes us somehow vulnerable at times. It's our independence. We are family owned. It's myself and two other guys, Charlie Solo and Dan Saucier. The three of us own this business. We don't have any insurance carrier ownership. And it allows us a lot of freedom to do things and try things that we believe are right and that are good. At the same time, that also leaves you sort of out there on your own at times with not a lot of resources like the bigs have to withstand the storms when they come. So it's a challenge, but that's one of the things that sticks out in my mind when you ask that question.
So you're talking about challenges, and I'm wondering, what are some examples of challenges you're facing today, big challenges not only for you, but potentially that you see impacting the entire industry?
So I think one of the challenges that sticks out to me the most right now is specialty pharmacy. We struggle with that. 10 years ago, all of the drugs that you see advertised on the television every single night didn't exist. Every one of those drugs costs at least as much as a new Audi or Maserati on an annual basis. Many of them never go away.
Relax with the Maserati. Let's relax on the Maserati. I got rid of it. He's driving a pickup now. I'm driving a pickup now.
I never knew you had one.
Oh.
Yeah, you did.
Brooks, I had a Maserati for about 2.5 years. Yes, I did. I was that a-hole with the Maserati. That was me. But I gave it up.
I remember you from your Nissan days.
Oh, very nice.
You had a Nissan Maxima or something like that.
I had the Altima. So,
Altima. Oh.
Just so everyone understands, that's how far back I go with Diversified. So, real quick, before I ask my next question, before we finally let Brady be involved, is for those you don't know, that's one of the things that we love about Diversified. When they say risk, when you say risk, Ron, earlier, you meant who's willing to take a risk? They were. Before Phia was this powerful podcast organization with thousands of followers on our webinars, etc., we were lucky to try to get anyone just to talk to us. And these guys down in Connecticut gave me one of the first opportunities I ever had to speak publicly at an event at one of their client conferences. And I never forget that. You're right. I drove there in the Nissan Altima that I had at the time. I think that was 2003, 2004, when we were a very small company, not who we are today. So very impressive that you bring that up. So speaking of that, when I think about opportunity, right? So that to me, when you allowed us the opportunity to come there, speak to your clients and prospects, that obviously, back then, we knew there were opportunities. When the ACA came, when everyone else thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to our industry, TPAs were dying to get sold, we saw that here at Phia as an opportunity to actually now finally get new business because people would be forced to finally deal with healthcare costs and premiums head on since everyone had to purchase health insurance. 2 questions. 1, why didn't you sell when everyone else was selling? And 2, what do you feel is the biggest opportunity that we do have today? Now we know the challenges, specialty drugs, everyone's facing it. We're going to deal with that situation as time comes. But those 2-part questions, if you don't mind answering.
Why didn't we sell? And there are numerous opportunities to sell in this market. A big thing for us here at Diversified is why. I have a big why. Why do I come to work every single day? And we hit that earlier in the call. A lot of the people that are interested in buying us, they don't really have a great why. I would want to, if we were ever going to partner on a situation like that, it would have to be somebody that would help us hit the accelerator, help us move forward, help us conquer these problems. And I just don't see those out in the marketplace right now. And that's probably the number one reason. There's plenty of money, there's plenty of people interested, but there's not a lot of good reasons why they want it.
They basically look. So the bottom line is they're looking at your profitability and saying, "Oh, we could add that to our portfolio." But you have this idea, this innovation, this product, this service. Unless they're willing to make that 10 times bigger, where you could, not be that small David versus Goliath scenario, you don't see a reason why doing that. So, what's the biggest opportunity that you do see?
A lot of things that we do see that would be disempowering. It would be going the exact opposite way that we've been going. I think the opportunity is in the flexibility and the ability to adapt and to move quickly. I think if you don't have that ability to adapt and move quickly, you're going to really struggle moving forward.
Hey, Brooks, this is Brady. I want to jump in before all the time gets used up and ask a question. You mentioned challenges before, and I'm looking here at an article from, I think, last week that you had commented on LinkedIn. It's about hospital mergers. In this case, they're talking about Milford and Bridgeport in Connecticut. And in Massachusetts, we have the same thing going on. We have large hospital systems merging together. Every day it seems like you're hearing about something else across the country. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, if you think this is good for the industry at large. I mean, of course, they all promise they're going to lower prices, but how do you see it in Connecticut when the talks of these big hospitals join together?
I think competition is going to be a key. If we're going to be successful as an industry, competition is necessary. We need competition. We need competition amongst hospitals, competition amongst providers. We need transparency, and we need people to succeed or fail in that system. Anytime there's mergers, there's our legislators and the public mindset is taught that it's somehow going to relate to a lower price. All I see as a result of these mergers is the hospitals are getting more profitable. I've yet to see anyone praise the hospitals for lowering their healthcare costs. So we're sold a bill of goods on these mergers. Our politicians appear to buy in lock, stock, and barrel. And the people who pay all the bills, our plan members, pay all the bills, are left holding the bag every time. And I think that's a bad move, and it bothers me more because we keep making it over and over in our state and every other state around us. We've got to change how these decisions are made.
I think that's a sentiment you'll hear in many other states as well. And one last thing on Connecticut is I want to point out that we mentioned how Connecticut has a lot of legislative activity regulating TPAs and also stop loss like many other states. But I wanted to point out that it's not always the case that these bulletins that come out from the state are always negative. In one case, we reviewed a bulletin that actually was beneficial for a plan. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on the fact that, not every regulatory action by the state is just about, is going to have a negative impact on stop loss carriers or on plans. Sometimes there's a good one. And one I'm thinking of in particular, one that makes it easier for plans to rely on their own exclusions rather than worrying about stop loss, sort of relying on their own exclusions, and how I think it's just not as well known as it should be in the industry that some of these legislative actions are actually good for plans.
As you could tell, Brady is pro-legislation. Brady's all about politicians and regulators making as much money as they can. So every once in a while, he's going to try to say, hey, not all regulation is bad. Some regulation can be good.
Trying to sneak that in there.
So just so you know, we have the luxury, Brooks, of looking at and seeing what Brady's talking about. The bulletin is from 2015. So this is nothing recent.
Yeah.
It's an old one.
It's the end of
But
2015.
it's 2.5 years old, but
It was a
Brady went back 2.5 years to find a
He
bulletin.
dug deep for a hug a senator.
He wants you to say regulation is good, Brooks. Don't fall for it.
It was, Brady. I see where you're going, but the bulletin was a bulletin. It didn't go through any legislative process at all. It was basically just penned on the insurance commissioner's desk. I think it was right before the 4th of July weekend, and it caught when that. I remember to this day when that bulletin came out, nobody knew about it. Not even our lobbyists. No one.
You got it right
caught
on.
everyone by surprise.
Perfect time. Issued on July 8th.
It worked well for us, but it was it wasn't on. I'm not sure how on purpose it was.
You know, Brooks, I seem to recall that the Phia Group and Diversified, we were the ones who I think first discovered it, and together issued a newsletter or a little email out to the industry to let them know it had popped up. So as we're talking about it, I'm starting to remember. This is just one more example of the collaboration we've had in the past.
So, Ron, you got any last questions for Brooks?
I don't have any questions. I actually have a comment, Brooks. I just want to let you know how much I know I speak for myself and everybody else, not only at the Phia Group but the industry, when I say thank you for the work that you and your team have been doing. For those who don't know, Brooks not only is an early adopter of our services and helps us work out all the wrinkles and the kinks that end up benefiting everybody, and not only does he and his team appear before lawmakers and lobby for what's really important to the industry, he's also a member of our advisory board, and he's always available to give us some advice and guidance and feedback. And I just want to let you know that what you do, just like all the other crowdsourced services out there where other people benefit from the brain trust that is the industry, you're definitely a leader there, and I hope people truly do appreciate what you do for them.
I appreciate that, guys. And right back at you, I'll have to say that we've been doing business together for at least 15 years, and you've never let us down. You know, we turn to you guys when we really are scratching our heads or are looking for some talk about how to move forward and how to solve problems. And your whole team, Adam, you, Brady, everyone is there to help us. And we've never let us down, and we appreciate it. It's meant a lot to us, and it's meant a lot to our clients.
For those of you interested, just so you know, all the brokers out there, our biggest piece of our audience are the brokers all across the country. If you are looking at self-funding options for your employer groups, pick up the phone, reach out to Brooks Goodison. Their website is diversifiedgb.com. Again, diversifiedgb.com, or feel free to call any of us here on the podcast. Reach out to Brady, Ron, and myself, and we can make sure we point you in Brooks' direction. He has a great team behind him. So, Brooks, we want to say thank you so much for taking about 30 minutes to be with us today on Empowering Plans of the Phia Group. Like we want our entire audience to know, you run one of the best organizations, a classy organization, one of the top TPAs in the country, a leader in what you're doing, a pioneer, and we look forward to working with you for many years to come. On behalf of Ron Peck, Brady Brazzaro, our producer, Pat Santos, and myself, the Adam Russo, thank you for joining us here on Empowering Plans with the Phia Group. Have a great day.